Hey everybody, Professor Snart checking in again. It's Monday morning as I'm recording this, so we are just kind of winding up our first workshop, or maybe kind of in the middle of it, depending on how you feel about how fast things are going. So ideally you have posted your short story for our fiction workshop here, which was due back on Friday. Within the discussion board, then you would have found yourself in a group, and by the end of today, Monday, June 8th, you're providing feedback. And like I'd mentioned before, the feedback isn't just a sort of paragraph at the end or a sentence here or there. It's really like, I want to say, like intrusive commentary on the document. Some of it positive, but also, some of it areas that need improvement. And I know it's awkward, especially if you don't really know people that well, and maybe you're at a distance, so it feels even more awkward. But people are doing this course to get feedback on their writing, not just that it's great and the best thing ever, but if they want to improve, where might they do that? And it's not like you as the reader have some perfect knowledge that the writer doesn't. You're really just communicating your experience. If you were confused, if you felt that a character behaved a certain way throughout a story, but then all of a sudden did something that was totally not just unpredictable, but like literally out of character, it just didn't really fit. You don't need to be a Nobel Prize winner in literature to provide that advice. You just provide your experience as a reader, and you do that consistently throughout a document. Truthfully, the workshop environment is it's complicated in lots of ways, not just online but face-to-face as well. But in other ways, it's really simple, because in every group you are both a reader and a writer. So the easiest rule to apply is the golden rule. You know that the kind of feedback you'd want is both positive but also areas to improve. You'd want it to be specific, so you actually knew where to focus on, what things were working specifically and what things weren't, not just sort of generic commentary. You don't just want a couple of sentences at the end of the thing, kind of, oh, you did a great job, I can't wait for the next one. I mean, that might feel good, but really it provides you nothing to work with as a writer. So you kind of know what you'd like to receive as the writer's side of things, so you just flip that around and do that for the other writers in your group, so you act as a reader. So kind of the golden rule. It sounds a little bit corny, but it actually works pretty well. I'll direct you again to the, not that part, the how the workshops work part, which explains the multiple due dates, how to post, but also the providing feedback, whether you do it with comments, like using an official commenting feature, highlighting and typing in the body of the text. I've seen people do like really elaborate color coding schemes, which is very cool. It doesn't so much matter the exact mechanism you do, as long as it's easily readable and accessible by the writer, and it's really, really robust. Like there's comments throughout that point to specifics going on in the text. Again, the grading for the class is largely about, did you post on time? And if you see a partial grade for the workshop that we're in right now, that's because you just posted on time. It's not the final grade. And then once Monday passes and that due date's done, I look at the quality of the feedback that you've provided to writers in your group. Have you provided the file back? Did you respond to everybody who posted on time? Is the feedback really like it's both positive but also areas to improve, and it's kind of throughout the document, it's not just offhand? If you've done all that, then you get a portion of the rest of the points. So the posting on time and as a accessible file, you get basically like the 50 out of 100. And then the rest of the points is based on the quality of the feedback. And if you're getting like 90, that means you've done everything really well. If you've really gone above and beyond, then you're looking at kind of 90 plus. So you don't get 100% just for kind of fulfilling the basic requirements, in the same way that if you just do the basics in any other kind of setting, you don't all of a sudden win prizes and awards. I don't mean that to sound harsh, but again, the perfect 100 out of 100 is kind of reserved for really, really great feedback, really great effort, and all that kind of stuff. If you're getting 90, then again, you've done great, you've got an A, and you've fulfilled the requirements for the workshop. Oh, and a reminder then, like I said before, if you're checking your grades and you see just like a 50 out of 100, that's not your final grade necessarily. It just means that I've only assigned that portion of the grade yet. Did you post on time, since the feedback due date is not till the end of today, Monday. Okay, so it's really important, obviously that we do this right the first time, but it obviously sets the stage for, our future workshops as well, which I'd mentioned like sort of ground our course. We do these interim units that get us thinking about particular aspects of creative writing or different genres or little sort of exercises like the significant objects one, but it's truthfully the workshops that I think can be, of the greatest value to you as the writer, especially because you don't get gobs of comments back from me necessarily. You can certainly contact me and we can talk about an individual piece if you like, but it's fundamentally the variety of comments you get back from your workshop groups that informs kind of the feedback that you get for your work in the course. So after our short story workshop, we actually leave the short story genre entirely and move into a new genre called creative nonfiction. It's one of, honestly, the most accessible because you're kind of writing from your own experience, but can be the most challenging because it's not a genre that people are necessarily familiar with, or it's hard to differentiate between creative nonfiction, just nonfiction like a short story, kind of journalistic reporting. It's a little bit of a mix of all those things. What I like about this particular genre, just want to see if I can find it really quick here, is that we have some, there it is, a number of different video things to look at in this previous unit and the one that I'm just in right here that are actually writers who are on campus here at COD and did a talk, but also, did these interviews with various faculty members we have here on campus. So it's not just a kind of generic like guy on YouTube, but it's actually someone who has a connection to COD, was here, and is responding to questions that are posed by actual creative writing faculty here at the college. So I didn't personally do the interviews, but we as faculty really kind of brainstormed, like, what would we like to ask this person based on not just the genre that they work in, creative nonfiction, but like their work in particular. So it's really great to actually have that kind of behind the scenes view of a working writer and how he or she responds to questions, not just that some like interviewer out there has posed, but that we at COD have kind of, informed by our own input, obviously with the view to providing it here like it's provided in terms of like a teaching tool. So hopefully you find them interesting and note that they're a little closer to home than some of the more generic stuff that you might run into just floating on YouTube out there. And then of course we get to our creative nonfiction workshop. It works the same as previous workshops. Here we have some material from one of our faculty members here at COD. He's like a nationally recognized writer of creative nonfiction. I provided some ebook stuff so you can read samples of his work without necessarily having to seek it out in print. And then just a reminder, we do move pretty quickly. We're almost like halfway through our course, if you can believe that. So just take a note of upcoming due dates, right? We have a quick turnaround to that Wednesday, Friday, and then by next Monday, you're posting your creative nonfiction piece. And so like you might have found with the short story, it really pays to at least be thinking about it and maybe even start it before necessarily wrapping things up in the unit previous. So you kind of have to keep like two tracks running a little bit. The workshop piece that you're probably developing, but also of course the unit by unit stuff that we're focused on too. Okay, so I look forward to reading through everyone's short stories and especially looking at the quality of the feedback that you're giving to your classmates. And of course, if you have any questions or concerns, you can always be in touch with me. I'll talk with everyone soon.